The signing of the pact marked a new dawn. With the Volaris Dominion's induction, the Interstellar Alliance embraced its 100th member, a beacon of unity in the sprawling cosmos. It is a privilege to extend our welcome personally, the Interstellar Prime Minister began, addressing the Volaris delegate with a warmth that belied the vastness of space separating their worlds. Your decision heralds a new era, not just for Volaris, but for all species committed to harmony in our cosmos. Yet, amidst our diverse tapestry, there lurks a dissenting thread, a species whose ideals diverge sharply from our collective norms, the humans. The Prime Minister paused, allowing the gravity of the name to permeate the chamber. Decades ago, when the Alliance was still finding its feet among the stars, we encountered humanity. At that time, their reach spanned multiple galaxies. Frankly, it still does, notwithstanding their seclusion. Though I suppose one isn't really secluded when one's territory encompasses about 5% of every star system in the galaxy, has a foothold in many other neighboring galaxies, and you've established multiple smaller federations filled with races that view you as gods. But I digress. Despite already having enough influence and power, they still showed great initial enthusiasm for joining the Alliance. Their two representatives diligently worked through each detail of Alliance statutes, every other point in the contract they negotiated, as if it would certainly be a deal-breaker, but still appearing truly prepared to make concessions to gain new allies. At first glance, they seemed like a prideful race that still understood the importance of accepting the differences between cultures. But oh, how wrong we were. Once we broached the topic of trade, things took, well, humans would call it a sour turn of events. Our foundational principle of trade, as you're likely aware, is that the passage of any goods through your domain cannot be prohibited, except for those banned by interstellar law. And initially, the humans agreed readily, but when we discussed standardizing tariffs on various goods, the atmosphere soured rapidly. We presented them with the suggested tariffs for common items, which have remained fairly consistent since then. Luxury apparel, 5%, rare minerals and gems, 7%, slaves, 10%. The second we mentioned a 10% tariff on slaves, the two human delegates' faces contorted into what I would think was a shocked and worried face. But it didn't take more than a couple seconds to figure out what this face really meant. It was one of revulsion. My predecessor thought that, as with many other species, slaves held significant cultural value to them, and they were concerned about the impact of these tariffs on their traditions. She quickly reassured them that these tariffs were merely advisory, and they could opt for lower rates if they preferred. The human's reply was totally unforeseen. I presume the earlier statement about not restricting the flow of any legal trade also pertains to slaves? When my predecessor affirmed, puzzled by the relevance to the current issue, the other human delegate declared, "Then know that we will never join your farcical organization, not in a million years, and wish to avoid any further encounters with you." Subsequently, they departed without another word. Our only official contact with them comes once a year, at the same date we first met. Human culture seems to put a lot of emphasis on dates, particularly one they deem to have had a negative outcome. Every year they send hate messages, not just from their government, but from everyday citizens who you would expect to not give any cares for other interstellar federations' acts. For instance, last year they condemned slavery, as usual, but also criticized my people's practice of disemboweling the spouse at the partner's funeral. They lambasted the autozone tradition of filleting sentient beings and consuming them as a delicacy, and the utilikilt practice of treating them as livestock. They even suggested genetically modifying livestock to be inanimate was cruel. They labeled the Skillic custom of bestiality barbaric and denounced any form of eugenics, even genetic engineering. Wait, they oppose eugenics? Astonishing, right? How a species can sustain such a vast empire despite their intolerance and ethical degeneracy is a mystery. But we can just disregard these messages, can't we? That's what everyone likes to think. Yet it's disheartening to realize that such a hate-filled species exists in our galaxy. What truly makes them bothersome isn't the messages, though. There have been rumors that the humans plan to, what they call, liberate the slaves at whatever the cost. We've already banned travel across any territory near human space because they will attack vessels, kidnap the crew, and free the slaves. Increasingly, we've noticed attempts of propaganda from the humans, trying to convince our general population of their insane doctrine that these practices of ours are evil, and they've offered radicalists who speak out against our immorality political asylum in their federation. Even now, as we speak, I'm sure news agencies are getting hacked to spread their ludicrous form of morality to the masses. These humans sound like a real pain in the abdomen, swore the uneased Volaris delegate. Oh, you don't know the half of it, chuckled the minister. Unfortunately, it seems they're going to be around for a while.